All right, we'll start the full read on Early Days in America, Columbia University Course in Literature, book number 16. Gotta turn on our light. There we go. The first American poets, the Indians. This book was written in the early 1900s, first quarter of the century. This volume properly begins with a discussion of the Aboriginal literature of North America, not chiefly because, in point of time, it is the earliest literature of this continent, but because of the interest it is exciting among scholars and the influence it is beginning to exert in art circles north and south of the Rio Grande. The interest is recent. The influence began less than 20 years ago. In the United States, the World War quickened the search for inspiration in the realm of prisoner life, which was already absorbing several of our younger painters, writers, and poets. And apparently, the search brought out of the haze of bombastic rhetoric the pioneer's comrade and antagonist, the Indian, as he really was in that life which has passed. The great discovery was the red man, not in conflict with the white man, but in relation to his own background, the American wilderness, not the red man interpreted by the alien paleface, but self revealed in his music, his paintings and sculpture, his myths and poetry. The archaeologist, the ethnologist, the student of folklore had preceded the artist into the Indian field and had secured this treasure for him in museums, in folklore journals, in the reports of the Bureau of Ethnology, of the Smithsonian Institute, and in the transactions of the Royal Society of Canada. Devoted students of Indian culture had labored for many years, and in some cases had lived as members of particular tribes, sons and daughters by adoption, to learn the lore they sought. Time, patience, and tact, and yet more time, are required to overcome the red man's reluctance to yield his sacred things. By giving his holy songs to strangers, he may offend the spirits who preside over the religious ceremonies of his tribe. By singing them his songs of the hunt, of war, of love, of seeding and harvest, he may anger the spirits of the wild game, who will then injure his own cattle, or his cattle, or call down the curse of dead warriors, blight the lovers in his village, cause the corn and squashes to fail. The Pawnee ritual, the Hako, perhaps the noblest masterpiece of Indian poetry which has thus far been translated, was won by Alice Fletcher after possibly 20 years of patient effort. At last she was able to convince the old medicine man, Tharushwicha, of the purity of her motives and to persuade him to let her transcribe the great ceremonial poem in full with his interpretations of its symbolism, so that it might not perish forever under the encroachments of the white man's civilization and the white man's theology. The traditional Indian view was that the sacred thing must be kept inviolate, to be preserved. Therefore, the words of Thawarswicha, after the transcription was completed, are significant as well as deeply moving. I have done what has never been done before. I have given you all the songs of this ceremony and explained them to you. I wonder over it as I sit here. I was with those who went to the Rocky Mountains, to the Cheyennes, when so many soldiers were slain that their dead bodies lying there looked like a great blue blanket spread over the ground. When I think of all the people of my own tribe who have died during my lifetime, and then of those of other tribes who have fallen by our hands, they are so many, they make a vast cover over Mother Earth. I once walked with these fallen ones. I did not fall. I passed on, wounded sometimes, but not to death, until I am here today, doing this thing, singing these sacred songs, and telling you of these ancient rites of my people. It must be that I have been preserved for this purpose, otherwise I would be laying back there among the dead. The Hakao is a very long ritual, with a simple but powerful dramatic motif. Its central idea, remaining dominant, unifies its action throughout. Studied as art, it reveals to us the same principles of symmetry, of the relation of parts, of interest mounting to a climax, of varied secondary ideas, which we find in the Icelandic sages, in Homer and the Greek tragedies, in Milton and Shakespeare. But the thought is Indian, the imagery and the rhythms are of the New World. By using inversions generously and translating the inverted phrases of the original, Miss Fletcher has been able to reproduce the various rhythms accurately enough for us to have an approximate idea, at least, of how the measures flow in Pawnee. Whoever has seen the vast cornfields of the undulating West Mountains to the horizon will find the picture faithfully presented in these verses to the Supreme Spirit, Tirawa. Tirawa, hearken, mighty one, above us in blue silent sky. We touch upon thy country fair, the mother corn touches there. Upon the borderland, the mother corn is touching there. Tirawa, hearken, mighty one, above us in blue silent sky. The path we reach leads up to thee. The mother corn enters there, upward takes her way. The mother corn to thee ascends. The image drawn from nature by the red man's keen observation is used to symbolize a religious belief which cannot be elucidated in this brief paper. We are concerned here with the Hakao only as poetry. One of its finest lyrics is the song of obedience to Mother Corn. Hark! She speaks, and quickly we turn to her, looking toward the west to the spot where we passed, neath the eyes of gods, and now do we heed her words. Yonder is the place in the distant west, whence I have come out of the past to you. Born of the earth and touched by the deep blue sky, have I chosen, been by the gods to lead. You are to hear my voice and follow my strict commands, as your fathers did in the days gone by. Thence come I to open your pathway here. The spirit of the Hakao is serene, exalted, joyous, a poem of no less noble verse, though darker in mood, in the Iroquois ritual of fire and darkness contributed by Harriet Converse, which opens, Great Spirit, who puts us to sleep in darkness, we thank thee for the silence of darkness, and which contains has fine a brief lyric descriptive of a fierce wind raging at night has any in our own tongue. It provides another example of the Indian's accurate observation and exact imagery. How the wind whistles now, no one dares race with it. Great trees bend low to it, rivers fight back to it, roaring and splashing it. Hear how its strong wings beat deep in the gusty sky. High through the night it flies, whistling and screaming still, hunting the prey that runs. Hear how its strong wings beat deep in the gusty sky. What poet has given us a better expression of the northeast gale? In the religious songs of the Navajo, contributed to the Journal of American Folklore by Washington Matthews after years spent in the Navajo towns, lines were repeated almost as profusely as in the interminable songs of the Quebec habitants. When one hears them chanted, the repeated lines, like the voyagers' refrains, seem to be there to carry one back again and again into the main current of the poem or song. They add to its beauty and evoke a mood, but in print they are monotonous to the eye, and the ear does not hear them. For that reason, only fragments are quoted. The Navajo's country is one of intense color, a glazed sky like, and the deeper tint of the turquoises they work into their jewelry designs, red, yellow, and orca hills, a clear, brittle golden light which at sunset seems to shatter into myriad infinitesimal gold particles, adrift and dancing under the purple winged shadows of the swiftly coming dusk. In the following stanzas, a Navajo poet has given us one of the loveliest figures of speech ever applied to evening. To the house of my kindred, there I return, child of the yellow corn am I, to the red rock house, where the blue kithons are, by the doorway, there I return, the pollen of evening light on my trail. In beauty I may walk, all day long may I walk, through the returning seasons may I walk, on the trail marked with pollen may I walk, with grasshoppers about my feet may I walk, with dew about my feet may I walk, with beauty may I walk. In old age wandering on a trail of beauty, lively, may I walk. In old age wandering on a trail of beauty, living again may I walk. It is finished in beauty. It is finished in beauty. If the song of the prophet be truthfully interpreted as an old man's look across the intervening years of death, it is a very beautiful and an original expression of mastery over the last dread. That flowing water, my mind wanders across it. That broad water, that flowing water, my mind wanders across it. That old age water, that flowing water, my mind wanders across it. Navajo poetry, it will be noted, deals not only with beautiful objects, but with the abstract concept of beauty itself. It is finished in beauty. Abstract ideas are uncommon, to say the least, in primitive literature. The brief magpie song is one of the happiest examples of Navajo fancy. The magpie, here, underneath, in the white of his wings, are the footsteps of morning. It dawns, it dawns. Frances Densmore flashes a different mind to us in her collection of brief songs from Chippewas, was she printed first in the reports of the Bureau of Ethnology, which she printed first in the reports of the Bureau of Ethnology. Love Charm. Ethnology, Ethnology. And we'll finish this page 5. Love Charm. What are you saying to me? I am arrayed like the roses and beautiful as they. Thunder Song. Sometimes I go about pitying myself while I am carried by the wind across the sky. Song of a man who was to be hanged. The thunders will take me home whenever I mind to go home. My friends and the wind, it will take me home too. A spring song. As my eyes search the prairie, I feel the summer in the spring. Many of the red man's songs are only one vivid phrase. For instance, there is an arrow song which images for him the dart that has brought swift death to a foreman. Scarlet is its head. A brief buffalo song conjures up with a prairie where a vast herd stamps and tosses in the presence of some peril, such as a prairie fire or a tribe of hunters. Strike ye our land with curved horns. A song of women searching the battlefield for their slain says only, in this place where the fight was, in this place where the fight was, across the river.